On today's show, we get called for jury duty. Visit with licensed psychotherapist Leslie Cutler, Kingston Director of Parks and Recreation Susan Woodworth, and talk about upcoming things to do in our area. We are glad you're here. Let's get started. The right to a trial before a jury of our peers is a cornerstone to safeguarding our constitutional freedoms. And we can agree that civic participation is imperative in a democratic society. But it doesn't make receiving a summons for jury service any more convenient or welcome. Here's the story on why it's important.
I've got so many deadlines, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, honestly. This jury duty is stressing me the heck out. I've got deadlines on this edit, I've got to complete...
I just don't have time for this.
I don't got time for this.
Hi, yeah, this is Matt. Okay. Yes, I'm available for a quick meeting. Yes, I'll be right in.
Hey everyone. Don't look at me, don't look at me, don't look at me.
So, let's figure out some deadlines.
Hi, jury duty.
Got so many deadlines, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Honestly, jury duty is stressing me the heck out. I've got deadlines on this edit, I gotta complete this edit over here, I got shoots.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Oh, glad that isn't me. Oh man, when is the last time I served? Hope I don't get one soon. This is terrible.
Jim never has a second cup of coffee at home. Sorry, I thought we were doing a bit. Did I say that out loud?
We've all been there. Receiving a jury duty summons often solicits this kind of response from the majority of our fellow citizens. But what's the story here? Why is something that contributes to our fundamental right to a fair jury trial perceived as one of the most dreaded pieces of mail you can get? Today, we're going to revisit the process of jury duty and hopefully change your perspective on it. Our goal is to put electric and credit card bills back where they belong, at the top of your list of mail that you don't want to receive, and hopefully turn a jury duty summons into something that'll make and not break your day.
Trial by jury is a significant structural component of the American legal system. It calls a group of 12 citizens to hear arguments and evidence presented in court by lawyers for both the prosecution and defense in a legal dispute. The jury's role is to evaluate the evidence, consider the law as explained by the judge, and ultimately make a decision regarding the guilt, innocence, or liability of the defendant in a criminal or civil trial. The idea of a trial by jury originated in the Magna Carta in 1215. It developed over time and was brought to the New World by the Pilgrims and Puritans and remained important throughout the development of the United States. Thomas Jefferson included the practice in the Declaration of Independence. It is a part of the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights, and in our own state, it was written into the Massachusetts Constitution by John Adams in 1780. Trial by jury is so ingrained in our lives, it's hard to imagine what a justice system would be like without it. But the truth is, we're privileged to have such a system. Did you know that along with voting, serving jury duty is the most significant way to make a measurable difference in our society? When you serve as a juror, you are playing a role in making sure our justice system continues to operate as it should. Our justice system is designed to ensure fair and impartial judgment based on the collective wisdom of a community. And that community is us. It is important a jury reflects the diverse makeup of our society, so every single one of our worldviews and life experiences matter. Juries were not always as reflective of the community as they are now. The first African American to sit on a jury anywhere in the USA did so in Massachusetts just before the Civil War in 1860. And women were not allowed to serve jury duty until 1950. That is 30 years after they got the right to vote. And in the 1980s, the court system took legislators, parents of young children, clergy, teachers, firefighters, and lawyers off the exempt list, meaning they too could be called to serve. This got us closer to making the process fair to all, and the jury pool a more representative slice of the actual community. Now, let's talk nitty-gritty. We don't dread jury duty because we have an aversion to being good citizens. We dread jury duty because it can be time-consuming, take us away from our jobs, and has the very real potential to be a boring old drag. The court system does recognize this. They understand that the civil responsibility we all have puts some people out more than others. This is the part where I'm going to show you how the Massachusetts court system has worked hard to help make it a little less burdensome for everyone. Here are some examples. Extra and unplanned childcare expenses can be a huge issue for folks who get called to serve jury duty. If you are a parent who is unemployed and at home with your kids, you can be reimbursed for childcare expenses up to $50 a day for the first 3 days. After the third day of service, you will get paid $50 by the state, just as all other jurors do. Having to miss days of work can be financially stressful for many of us. Did you know in Massachusetts, your employer is required to pay your regular wages for the first 3 days you miss because of jury duty? After that, the state will compensate jurors at a rate of $50 per day. Often, it is not the financials, but the actual time away from your job responsibilities that make serving jury duty a hardship. The good news here is that it isn't 1981. Back then, people had to serve an entire 30 days. If the trial they were on wrapped up in less than that, they would still have to continue to serve, potentially on another trial. But in 1982, Massachusetts changed that law and was the first state in the U.S. to introduce the one-day or one-trial system, making the whole process a lot less burdensome on your everyday life. Currently, you either serve 1 day or the length of a trial. And most of the time, trials are 3 days or less. And when you complete your service, you won't be called again to state court for at least another 3 years. And finally, as far as being a big, boring drag, the truth is, if you do get called to serve on a jury, it is likely you will discover it to be a unique, compelling, and educational experience. You will learn basic law from the explanations given to you by the judge. You will hear evidence and be asked to analyze facts and apply it against the laws that you have learned. You will render a verdict and be a part of administering justice. That is powerful. When you serve jury duty, you become the living, breathing representative of our government. A government of the people, by the people, for the people. We all share this fundamental right, and we all have the responsibility of maintaining it.
Hey, I thought you had jury duty.
I did my 1 day. Turns out they didn't need me. Easy as that. Not so bad, really. Honestly, I'm kind of a little disappointed I didn't get picked. Might have been fun. Oh well. I'm off for the next 3 years. I'll be able to make my deadlines now, no problem.
That's great. 3 years free from state court. But you do know you could get called to serve in federal court, right?
Wait, what?
Yeah. Unless you served on a trial for at least 5 days in the past 3 years, the 1 day, 1 trial doesn't excuse you from federal court. So you still might have the chance to get put on an exciting and educational trial.
Honestly, yeah. Yay.
Thank you all for being here with us on the local scene. I hope now, when you receive that jury duty summons in the mail, it feels a little less like a letdown and a lot more like winning the lottery.
The opening of the Miles Standish Hotel in 1871 and the existence of the Old Colony and South Shore Railroads made the town of Duxbury a popular destination for summer vacationers. The Duxbury Rural and Historical Society invites you to the King Caesar House for Tides and Tourism, a Duxbury summer retrospective. Opening on Saturday, June 22nd, this self-guided nostalgic tour through time will feature a replica of an old cove boathouse, historical clothing, a 1950s beetle cat, and additional artifacts from the Historical Society's collection. Running through August 30th, see the exhibit from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Thursday, Friday, and select Saturdays. Tickets for the self-guided tour are only $5. Or, for $10, you can enjoy a 1-hour guided tour of the house and then view the exhibit. The King Caesar House is located at 120 King Caesar Road in Duxbury. Purchase tickets at the door or online at duxburyhistory.org. An African-American settlement in Plymouth, founded in 1792, Parting Ways was established by Cato Howe, Prince Goodwin, Plato Turner, Kwame Quash, and their families. These formerly enslaved men were granted their freedom in recognition of their Revolutionary War service and given the land grant of this 94-acre plot near what is now Route 80 in an agreement with the town of Plymouth. This upcoming Juneteenth, Pilgrim Hall Museum will host the estimable Reverend Dr. Robert Gomes for the lecture, Illuminating African American Histories on the South Shore, Monument in the Making, Parting Ways and Its Legacy. Reverend Dr. Gomes will share his personal experiences relating to the rediscovery of this Revolutionary Era community, his 1970s work contributing to the preservation of Parting Ways, and its legacy and relevance to us today. This June 19th event commences at 6 p.m. with a social hour and some light refreshments before the lecture beginning at 7 o'clock. Admittance is free for students with a valid ID, $5 for Pilgrim Hall members, and otherwise $10 per person. Tickets can be purchased at pilgrimhall.org. Pilgrim Hall Museum is at 75 Court Street in Plymouth. Leslie Proulx Cutler is a psychotherapist in private practice in Duxbury. She sat down with Tiff Phillips on our Open Here podcast to talk about finding purpose and fulfillment in helping others.
I'm with the Leslie Cutler. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here today.
All right, so let's get into it.
Absolutely.
Tell us about your background. Where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up right outside of New York City in the Hudson Valley, about an hour north or so. I had grandparents that lived here in New England and wanted to move to New England ever since I was really small. So when the chance arose to study up here, I jumped right on it. Headed up here, I was about 18 or 19, and I've been in New England ever since.
Do you love it here?
Absolutely. I cannot imagine ever leaving New England.
Same.
Yeah, it's the ocean. Everything about it is just heaven. Yeah.
So you started off in the corporate world, correct?
I did.
What led you to make that switch?
Yeah, so I also got a degree in communication arts and also theology as well. Unsure really of what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, but I was always pulled towards more kind of creative type work. So when I graduated, I wound up working in, corporate marketing, advertising, PR, that type of thing. And I worked in that for about 12 to 13 years. I really wasn't all that happy doing the work that I did. I mean, there were parts of it that I enjoyed, but I think I felt called to do something a little bit different, but just was a bit unsure and wasn't sure how to get there or how to find that thing.
That's super important to know, kind of go with your gut rather than the money, so to speak.
Oh, well, yes, I left corporate America. Right, exactly. Yes.
How would you describe your style as a therapist? What's your specialty?
So I specialize in working with teenagers. I love working with teenagers. A lot of people do. Because, they can be intense, but that is really kind of what I'm known for. It's interesting, though. I also see adults as well. And for teens, I mean age 12 on up. And I also do a lot of work in disordered eating. And that has been absolutely a passion of mine. I remember when I did move up here, I was struggling with a pretty significant eating disorder, and I struggled for decades and really had difficulty finding, providers that specialized in it, that really understood it and that knew it. And so thankfully that's changed over the years. But in the back of my mind, I was like, if I can ever reach recovery, this is something I think that I could do.
Yeah.
So that was part of the ammunition that led me to the work that I'm doing now.
And body image is such a tricky thing. I mean, do you feel like that's gotten better or worse over time with the internet and TikTok?
No, it's interesting. I was just reading an article before coming here about, the number of women that are taking these injections to lose weight, and, how that sets us back a bit in terms of some of the body positivity growth that we've done through the years, and, kind of being more accepting of individuals of any size. But, now that this is so readily available and so many women are doing this, I feel like it's a few steps back for us. So, yeah, I don't think the internet helps us in any way in regard to, body positivity, that's for sure.
But there is a movement going on right now where women are trying to be more supportive, I think, of one another and trying to encourage, plus size women to wear the crop top,
Absolutely. Wear whatever you feel defines you or is an expression of you. Exactly. Absolutely.
Exactly. There's a bit of a philosophy out there that people only need help these services while they're in crisis or have been diagnosed. Do you think everybody needs a therapist, or do you think just people with diagnoses?
Well, I think a lot of people don't know what their diagnoses are until they get into therapy. But something for a lot of them is something is undone, something feels like there's a hole somewhere, or there's a behavior that can't be explained. Sometimes people are mandated through the court system and that sort of thing. Other times people tend to go on their own. It's interesting because I find the younger generation is much more open to therapy than some of the older generation, which includes my generation and those older than myself.
It seems that more people are open to talking about it, speaking of generations.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? They're more likely to talk about what's ailing them versus keeping it kind of hidden.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you asked that question because when I was growing up, we didn't have the internet, right? I'm so aging myself right now. We didn't have cell phones, none of that. So you never got insight as to what others' worlds looked like. We were all very sheltered in the sense that we didn't know much outside of our own home and maybe that of a neighbor or two. And I think what the internet has done is sort of opened up this place where we can see different types of homes and families. And a lot of people see earlier on that, hey, what's going on in my home is not appropriate or should be changed, or perhaps when I become a parent, I want to do some things different. And that's what the younger generation, I think, is really kind of holding on to is, let's try to stop some generational trauma by educating and bringing some of these things that have surfaced over time to the forefront.
Do you think the younger generations are kind of teaching the older generations that it's okay? Or do you think there's kind of a block there?
I think they're trying. And kudos to them because that needs to happen. Hopefully my generation will be open to hearing what they have to say. There's a plus and a minus for this. The negative part is so often I have people coming into my office saying, oh, I think I have this diagnosis, when that's not the case. A lot of times there's information that isn't quite complete. Oh, if you answered yes to any of these 3 questions, well, you have this, you're on the spectrum, or you're this. And I spend a lot of time doing psychoeducation for people, and we talk a lot about diagnosis. Is it important that you know this? Do you want to know this? Do you want to understand this? Let me tell you how I came to this decision. And then really breaking it down for them to help them understand and saying, this is the diagnostic criteria. These are the items that, fit appropriately. And so let's look at this closely and figure out how you can learn to live with this diagnosis in the most helpful possible way.
So when it comes to therapists, there's not like a one-size-fits-all situation. What advice do you have for people who are looking for a therapist? Like, what kind of questions should you ask? Do you interview the person? I mean, how do you find someone that fits your needs?
That's a great, great question. And, I tell every single one of my clients to shop for a therapist. I offer an introductory complimentary meeting to sit with them. Like, let's see if our personalities work together. Let's see if I'm the type of therapist that you feel like you could be comfortable with, that you could talk to. And I think this is especially important for my teenagers too, because so often their parents are like, you have to go to therapy, and then there's so much resistance. So I say to them, listen, you're the one in charge. You're the one making the decision about who you see. Obviously, your parents are telling you you have to see somebody, but I'm going to give you some time. We're going to sit down, and I'm going to give you a few names. Interview all of us so they feel like they have some power, and see who it is that you think would be the best bet for you. Because no matter what type of therapy a person does, studies have shown again and again and again that it's the connection is where the healing happens. It doesn't matter whether I'm this type of practicing therapist or this type of practicing therapist. It's all about the connection is critical and that therapeutic relationship. So I tell people, absolutely shop, see who you could imagine speaking to, understand their credentials. In other words, make sure that they're licensed in the state that that they're practicing in. Make sure that they have some experience in maybe the particular thing that you're looking for assistance with, and see if perhaps their overall style of communicating works with what it is that you're looking for.
Are there any good places online to kind of research that information?
Yeah, I think Psychology Today is a great place to go. They provide pictures of the therapists in your area. You can search by insurance. You could search by, what it is that you're struggling with. You can search in numerous ways. It will bring up everybody that meets that criteria. And really, just about everybody is on that. So it is a good place to start.
One could imagine that being a therapist is a bit stressful. You're talking to a lot of people and taking on a lot of their pain and having to kind of have this empathy. How do you compartmentalize that? Not bringing that home to, your personal life.
And, I think that's one of the most challenging parts of the job. I've always been somebody who felt a lot, felt everybody's energy as I passed them in the supermarket. And it's really hard to shut down some of that. Caring for an individual is not part of the job description, but it is impossible for me to work without that in place. So I deeply care about all the people that I see, and I would be lying to say there weren't nights that I'm laying in bed going, oh, I hope so-and-so is okay tonight, and I hope that they're figuring this out, or whatever the case may be. So I have my own little rituals that I have to do at the end of a long day to kind of help transition back from being a therapist to being a mom, to being a wife, to being all the roles that I play outside of that. And, some of that is changing clothes, taking my dog out for a walk, doing something creative. All these things help keep me grounded and present in what I need to do in that moment.
It's hard being a professional empath.
Yes, it is.
Do you love what you do?
Oh, I absolutely
You
love
seem
what
it.
I do. Yeah, I honestly, no matter how tired I am, I get so energized by my work, by the people that I see. This work for me truly is home, and it's such a gift to have found that, and to know that this is my calling and my place in my world.
I love that you called that your home. Oh, it's so beautiful. What do you think your biggest accomplishment has been?
I think my biggest accomplishment professionally has been to build the practice that I have. I have a private practice. It's all private pay. I have a very, very large caseload. And that took years to build. And I'm always busy. I always have waiting lists. So for that, I'm very, very grateful.
So finally, what does the future hold for you in your practice?
Well, the beauty of my job is I can do it, until however old I, want to practice until, as long as I have my faculties and am able to be present. I really can't imagine retiring anytime soon. This work has been so important for me, and I want to continue doing it as long as I possibly am able.
I hope you are, because the world needs you and people like you. Leslie, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was wonderful to be here today. Thank you.
You can reach out to Leslie at cutlercounseling.net. The Pembroke Public Library is buzzing about their June 27th Arthropod Petting Zoo and Busy Bug Day. Ideal for kids aged 3 to 11, Professor Bugman's multi-sensory show and tell bug extravaganza will be learning about, seeing, hearing, touching, and even smelling the survival techniques that arthropods, the most diverse group of animal life on the planet, utilize to stay alive. This drop-in event begins at 1 p.m. in the library's meeting room and ends at 4 o'clock. Connecting with the land we live on and the people we share space with is the focus of the Roots to Bloom nature-based camp for kids offered by the Kingston Parks and Recreation Department. Built around activities including scavenger hunts, gardening, and eco-friendly crafting, the program will bring fun and play to 4 nature-based themes: mindfulness, creativity, exploration, and sustainability in action. This camp is ideal for children ages 8 to 13. The session starts on July 29th and goes through August 21st, with the option to sign kids up to attend on Mondays, Wednesdays, or both. Register through the Kingston Parks and Recreation website. Director of the Kingston Parks and Recreation Department, Susan Woodworth, is Julie Thompson's guest. Next, on a closer look at Kingston.
Hi, today we're taking a closer look at the town of Kingston and specifically the Parks and Rec Department. And we luckily have Susan Woodworth, who is the director of the Parks and Rec. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Every couple of years, we have you back for an update. So it was 2 years ago that I interviewed you, and we did it via Zoom because we were just coming out of COVID. And at that time, you told me you had been with the rec department for 23 years. So now you've been with the rec department for 25 years.
That's correct.
And you still have a smile on your face, and you still love coming to work every day.
I do.
So what brought you up to that point? I mean, what did you do before the 25 years you've been with Kingston?
Sure. So I worked actually in the exercise science field for many years, and then I worked for Pilgrim Healthcare, which is now Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, and I did marketing and wellness events and different programs and things like that, and worked with providers and some of our sales team to try to figure out different programs that would make our customer base healthy and things like that. And then I did, so it kind of just fit in. And then I had kids, and my company was moving from Norwell we moved to Westwood, and then they were moving to Wellesley, and that was just a bit too far for me with the 2 little ones. So I found a great opportunity right in my hometown of Kingston, just a few miles away from where I live, and it just worked out fantastically that I've just been able to continue to be there all these years. I do really love it still.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
And you've seen an awful lot of changes.
Absolutely.
In the town, in the population, especially in Parks and Rec and what you can offer. So back in 2022, we talked about the Grays Beach Playground rebuilt, which is a big deal. And it had to be approved at town meeting, which it was.
Yes.
And it opened in 2023. So talk about that and how much of a oomph that was for the Parks and Rec Department.
Sure. No, it's great. That park that we have down there, Grays Beach Park, it's just phenomenal. It's a little park that has a beach, tennis courts, basketball courts, grass area. There's just a lot of everything in a small piece of property.
Yeah.
And the playground had been over 20 years old. It really just needed an opportunity to kind of be revamped. It wasn't as safe, and we needed to just look at some drainage issues. So it was a large project. We were able to address the drainage issues, and then the playground that we were able to build, it's kind of called the universal concept, which just provides an opportunity for accessibility, a little bit different accessibility, also provides an opportunity for families to play together. A lot of playgrounds have structures that are a little bit more challenging for us as adults to get through and actually participate with the kids. So this is a more open concept, so parents, grandparents, whoever, adults can just actually be part of the play, which is really, really nice. We added some music components and just some great things.
Now you have a lot of things in the summer too. You have like bands and you have movies and you really make it a community event. Does that all go through your department?
It does. It does. Yeah. And that's kind of really what our mission statement is. It's building and enriching our community by working together. So that Grays Beach Park property just provides that opportunity. We do farmers markets where we actually don't run them, but we work with an organization. And then there is, like you mentioned, the movie nights and then music nights, which again, we get to work with our local musicians, and it's really, really great opportunity for us all to be together.
Yeah, terrific. So there's an awful lot of different places and buildings and programs that you have. And if you go on the website, and you have your own website, your recreation department has its own website, and there's just tons of opportunities. I was like, okay, I could spend 3 hours just looking through what you offer. So you offer from kids all the way up to old people like me. What are some of your most popular programs?
So a lot of, like you said, it's really for everybody. We do multi-generational programs. We do adult programs. For the adults, it definitely would be pickleball. We have a big pickleball gathering. But we do some other programs. We do yoga. We do art programs for adults as well. So that just provides a lot of different opportunities for the adults to come together, also with the kids. The kids programs, it just so many different programs. Again, art, sports. One of the big things we've been able to do in the last few years is partner with our elementary school and intermediate school, which is a huge asset for our parents, so they can stay after school and actually do the program right there without having to be transported somewhere else. So it's just a phenomenal
concept.
It is. In the last year or so, we worked with the intermediate school for many years, but the younger ones, it was just a little bit hard to manage. I always want to make sure that we have things in place if the program got canceled and parents were able to know, but we call it Beyond the Bell. So a lot of teachers also get to see their students in a different environment, which is really nice for them. They get to engage with them in a little bit different ways, and that's been really a huge success as well.
Now, do you bring instructors or people that will facilitate this after school time?
It's actually the teachers.
Oh, the teachers.
So the teachers in the school, they partner with us. So the school has to authorize the use for the teachers to use their classroom or that location after school, and they're really creative. It's not school-related things necessarily. We have embroidery, we do crochet, there's a fashion club thing that the kids are doing, so little musical, they just do a phenomenal job, so it's just really, really nice.
Oh, that is fantastic. Okay. Has engagement would you say overall increased or decreased over the past couple of years since we came out of the pandemic?
I think it's actually increased. You know, there was definitely a shift for a while, but I think in the last, I'd say, year or so, our numbers are just crazy. We've just offer over 400 to 500 programs a year with over 6,000 or 7,000 registrations, and that's just the programming part. And as you mentioned earlier, we also oversee Grays Beach Park, which has so much going on there, and then we also oversee a couple of athletic complex areas. So again, huge amount of activity there for not only our youth, but we have adults that play softball there and things like that. And so it's just been really incredible to see people continue to come together.
Now, is this mostly residents that take advantage of this, or do you allow people that don't live in Kingston to be part of it?
We do offer non-residency opportunity as well. We usually let Kingston residents register first, just because that's their money, right? Yep. And then after a week or so, if registrations are still open, then we offer to non-residents as well for a little bit of an additional cost.
Okay, wow. Now, for the summer, I know summer was always a problem, not a problem, but it's a challenge for parents. Parents who continue to have to work. Now, you said you have the After the Bell program after school. What do you do for the whole summer as far as offering special things for kids that maybe the parents need them to go somewhere during the day?
Sure. So we offer a lot of one week long clinics. Those can be run anywhere from 9 to 3 or 9 to 12. So there's a multitude of those. We have a horsemanship program. We're doing a new thing about nature. So we just have so many programs. But our main program is called K-Rec Connect, and it runs Monday through Thursday. Either 8:30 to 11:30 is an option, or 8:30 to 4. So it really provides that opportunity maybe for working families that need a little bit more of a day. So we do a full day from 8:30 to 4 and a half day from 8:30 to 11:30. And that's for kindergarten through 8th grade. So it provides a wide opportunity. And we also run a preschool program, which is Monday through Thursday as well, for 3 to 6 year olds. So it's quite a big thing. And then on Fridays, we do what we call Freestyle Friday. We found a lot of times on Fridays, the just a lot of people didn't show up. People go away for the weekend in the summer or that. So it provides people not to have to pay for a day that they may never join. This gives people that if they want to do it, then they have that option to add that Friday back in.
To see the entirety of this interview, please visit the Local Scene Government Services YouTube page.
A kind and good-natured teddy bear once said, "Any day spent with you is my favorite day. So today is my new favorite day." Come bring the wisdom of Winnie the Pooh's famous quote to life at Read, Sing, and Play, the Teddy Bear Picnic Storytime at the Duxbury Senior Center on Tuesday, June 25th. This intergenerational event is for everyone, ages 2 years old and up. Attendees are encouraged to bring a beloved doll or favorite stuffed bear. No registration is required for this half-hour story time beginning at 9:30 a.m. The Senior Center is at 10 Mayflower Street in Duxbury. The Flying High Dogs and their person, Mike Piazza, are back for another program of Fun Unleashed at the Plymouth Public Library. On Monday, July 1st from 2 to 3 p.m., the dog days of summer take on new meaning at this family-friendly front lawn frisbee flinging showcase of amazing disc-defying dog tricks. This show will include some audience participation and appeal to all ages. This event is free and open to the public. No registration is required. A timeless technique for DIY fashion, tie-dye bridges the past to the present with a rainbow of color and creativity. On Friday, June 28th, the Kingston Public Library invites kids aged 1 through 18 to bring any boring white clothes that are ready for a revamp to the library for Splat, a DIY tie-dye event happening from 3:30 to 4:45 p.m. This outdoor free event will take place on the lawn to the right of the library's main entrance. Just follow the sounds of rubber band twisting and color tub splashing. If you don't have plain clothes calling for color, don't let that keep you from the event. The library will also have white bandanas on hand for dyeing. It's time to get crafty at the upcoming Tolson's Tap and Tavern Shop Local Market on Saturday, June 22nd. Curated by Inebriart, you'll be able to sip an icy cold craft beer or a glass of fine wine as you peruse vendors offering objects of delight and splendor. Eat delicious food while your eyes feast on one-of-a-kind handcrafted wonders and beautiful works by local artists and artisans. It's the perfect place to find a unique gift. The market will be hopping from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. and is free for all to attend. Tolson's Tavern is at 15 Columbia Road in Pembroke. A great father doesn't just hold your hand, he has your back. The Kingston Council on Aging invites you to their free Father's Day luncheon on Monday, June 17th at 12 p.m. This event, sponsored by Duxbury House at the Village, is a perfect opportunity to let the role model you call Dad know just how much they are appreciated. Space is limited and registration is required. Call 781-585-0511. If you're part of the LGBTQ+ community and are more than happy to go fly a kite, float on down to Nelson Park on Sunday, June 23rd. Plymouth Pride is hosting Kite Day, an LGBTQ+ family-oriented event for kite pilots of all ages. No need to register, just show up at 10 a.m. and look for the Pride group by the beach area. And if the weather isn't cooperating, the gathering will become a playground meetup. Plymouth Pride will have a few kids' kites on hand to share, but please bring your own kite for flying. All kids must also be accompanied by an adult. Nelson Park is at 235 Water Street in Plymouth. An unsettling trend, scams and identity theft targeting seniors are on the rise. The good news is there are resources for simple ways you can protect yourself and stay one step ahead of tricky criminals with bad intentions. On Thursday, June 20th, Robin Putnam from the Office of Consumer Affairs and Business Regulations will be at the Duxbury Senior Center for an informative session on identity theft and fraud protection. You'll be alerted to some of the most current scams that her office is encountering and learn specific ways to identify them and protect your identity and bank account from fraudsters. The discussion will begin at 11:30 a.m. Register through the website at duxburyseniorcenter.org or by calling 781-934-5774, extension 5703. And that, my friends, wraps this episode of What's Good and Good to Know in our area. We are grateful for your attention. We'll see you on the local scene. For more of what's good and good to know on the South Shore of Massachusetts, hit the subscribe button. And thank you for watching.